Hello, everyone, and welcome to our channel. I'm Mark,
And I'm Rob.
and today we're going to talk about a Wall Street Journal article about the growth of the WNBA, which gave Caitlin Clark almost no credit. So, hey, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so. Hit the notification bell when you do, so you get notified of our next videos. So, the Wall Street Journal put out an article called "Inside the WNBA's Big Bold Record-Breaking Year," and basically talked about everyone but Caitlin Clark. It was all about Angel Reese and guess what? Asia Wilson, of course. So they basically talked about the first in the second paragraph. They talked about Angel Reese, the Aces. They got a bigger stadium for them, which is the only time it happened with Angel Reese. With Caitlin Clark, it happened several times. In fact, it happened at least, I think, 5 or 6 times where they had to get a bigger stadium for. Yet they didn't mention that about Caitlin Clark's games. No. In fact, she did get 18,400 for that game, but guess what Caitlin Clark got? She set the record for over 20,000, and she got over 18,400 5 times, Rob.
Right.
They didn't even mention that.
The last one was here in the DC area, yeah, at the Capitol Arena, yeah.
So what people said was, because I don't have the article, it's under the paywall for Wall Street Journal, but there's excerpts of it. And what people claimed was that there was no mention of Caitlin Clark other than to try to minimize the fact that she had flagrant fouls against her. It turns out they did mention the television views, that the 21 out of 24 Caitlin Clark views were over 1 million was because of her. But that's it. They just glossed over that. And then everything else was about Angel Reese and Asia Wilson and everything else. So first of all, I just want to say up front, this was very irresponsible. If they wanted to write an article and saying, listen, there was growth in the WNBA this year, and it was more than one person, and show how other people contribute to the popularity of the league, that would be fine, because Angel Reese did have some say in that, and Asia Wilson had a small say in that. But don't have that headline saying this is really about the growth of the WNBA, and then not talk about the reason that was 75% of it.
Right. If you're gonna make a statement like that, you have to. I mean, like you said, you don't have to include one person, even though it is one person who has caused that increase.
Well,
you could sprinkle in, Angel Reese and Asia Wilson and how the league has grown. But I mean, to leave her out of it, like the main, she was not part of the main reason. Again, they're falling into that same old with everybody has done the whole year, ESPN, right. Whoever.
Well, yeah, they're all part of the conspiracy.
Yeah, they fall right into it.
An overly woke writer. Anyways, this is what they said. A surge of newcomer fans to the W, as insiders call it, has driven up average attendance nearly 50% over a year and has sent viewership on ESPN network soaring 170%. No mention of Caitlin Clark in any of that, even though she was responsible for 50 to 60% of the increase. And in the viewership, she was obviously responsible for more than that in terms of TV view. But 50 to 60% of the new fans, were just to see her.
Right.
Forget about the overflow from her eyes onto the league and maybe having other people come to games. People are not just tuning in, they're obsessing. Now, that's not true, except for Caitlin Clark fans, which, of course, the article doesn't mention. Okay. So, and,
it's amazing.
And then they got that quote from Kathy Engelbert, which she said before, in my 4 years as commissioner prior to this, I got 40 emails probably from fans. I get 4,000 a week now. Of course, they're probably mainly from Caitlin Clark fans, but that's not mentioned.
I mean, Mark, like most people are saying, like we're saying, the overflow from her college career into the WNBA they should have known that. But again, they claim that they didn't see this coming. But which is really strange.
It went on, Rob, and said one of the most hotly contested takes is how to best explain the W's runaway success. Most will agree the WNBA mania can be traced to the superstar rookies. Notice rookies who arrived this year, not Caitlin Clark. Rookies. They went on. But the reasons the WNBA became the biggest professional sports story of 2024 run deeper than any single player. Now, they haven't even mentioned Caitlin Clark, but they're saying that they're already discounting.
Well, they've already, like I said, Mark, they've already put it in there. It's not because of a single player that has happened. That's how they kind of cleaned it up a little. So it's not because of a single player that this happened.
Right. And then they quoted LeBron James, who said, "It's long overdue," who goes on to note just a few of the WNBA's biggest stars, Diana Taurasi, Breanna Stewart, Napheesa Collier, and Asia Wilson, whom he calls the head honcho of the league. Now, there's no exact quote there. I guarantee you she mentioned Caitlin Clark, because she's mentioned Caitlin Clark about 50 times this year in terms of how important she has been to the growth of the league. But there's no quote about that, Rob. None. Not even mentioned as one of the stars of the league.
Not even a little sprinkle. Can't give her any kind of love, Mark. No love.
No. Then there's another quote from him. I could go on and on how many great players are in the WNBA. There are some great storylines, things of that nature, some great players. So I think that's the reason the league is getting a lot of attention. That's not what he said before, Rob. So you know they left that quote out. Let me give you the quote that he said before, Rob.
Okay.
The one thing that I love that Caitlin Clark is bringing to the sport is more people want to watch. More people want to tune in. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it effed up. Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things is going to happen for the WNBA. This is what he said in the past.
Right.
So they left that part out.
Of course, totally. Of course.
And like I said, the 4 players listed, there's not an exact quote around it. So I don't even know if he mentioned Caitlin Clark and they just took it out.
They conveniently didn't put that in there. So, can't have the individual. But I mean, to use his name and then don't even bring a quote from what he said. What kind of writing is this? This is horrible.
And it's so biased. It's not even funny. It's very irresponsible journalism. They mentioned Caitlin Clark once by name before this. People were saying that she wasn't mentioned at all, except to minimize the flagrant fouls against her. And it turns out that wasn't true, because she was mentioned when about over a million views on 21 of the 24 games. So that wasn't true. However, that's all they said about her. And then for some reason they brought up the flagrant fouls, which has nothing to do with the popularity and the growth of the league. But they brought in this to try to minimize the flagrant fouls. Yeah, I can't believe it. I don't even know why it's in the article. But here's what it said. Uh-huh. In the glare of the 2024 season, though, each inspired a firestorm. Some defenders of Clark directed attacks at Reese, Carter, and other Black players, contending that they were targeting Clark out of jealousy. Not contending, they were.
They were. Oh, my God.
I mean, Carter, it was obvious what she did. I mean, that was a direct attack. Okay. Then the next sentence says, Reese says she got death threats and has been followed to her home. What does that have to do with Caitlin Clark getting targeted out of jealousy?
Right. There they go again, Mark. They're trying to blame the Caitlin Clark fans, or they're not taking credit or taking responsibility for what has happened to her.
And what about what Reese fans has said about Caitlin Clark and the threats made to her and the racist comments said to Caitlin Clark? That's not in the article.
No, of course not.
But they have to add the Reese thing right away. Not because Caitlin Clark was targeted, but it's Caitlin Clark's fans that Reese gets targeted. So they twisted that around.
Yeah.
They went on. Clark was indeed on the receiving end of twice as many flagrant fouls, 6 in 40 games this season, as any other player in the league, according to the data site her Hoop Stats. But the number of such fouls called in a season can vary wildly, and Clark's status isn't an outlier. Ariel Powers, for instance, was flagrantly fouled at nearly the same rate in 2022, 5 in 35 games. Clark pushed back on the toxic vitriol, saying people should not be using my name to push these agendas. She didn't say that, but the flagrant fouls weren't too much for her. or that she wasn't happy with it. This had nothing to do with that quote. Is probably not even having to do with the flagrant fouls.
No, it's nothing to do with it. I mean, she doesn't even say anything. She was, for me, like I said, for us, we would have been all over that. We definitely would have mentioned, but she always took the high road, even when she got poked in the eye, Mark, could have ruined her career.
That quote was taken out of context. When she was talking about that, she was talking about the fans saying things to the players. It had nothing to do with about the flagrant fouls and whether she was getting too many.
Right.
But just because there was one other person got a lot of flagrant fouls doesn't mean that wasn't a lot of flagrant fouls against Caitlin Clark, because that's unusual. It's not an outlier. Maybe those are two outliers, Rob.
Right.
That's crazy.
Amazing.
It goes on. It said other things, Rob.
Oh, my gosh.
I can't believe that what this article said. All right.
This is crazy.
First of all, they said that the growth of women's basketball started in the championship game because of Angel Reese's team winning and the "Now You Can't See Me" motion that she did to Caitlin Clark. Okay, wrong. That is wrong. It started when Caitlin Clark started becoming popular her freshman year because she was shooting logo threes and she was exciting. And then it really started to pick up steam, Rob, in the Elite Eight in 2023 when Caitlin Clark played Louisville and got the triple-double 40-point game. And 2.49 million people tuned in, which was a record for an Elite Eight women's basketball game. Okay, then the next game in the Final Four against South Carolina, who was undefeated, another record took place. 5.5 million tuned in to see Caitlin Clark because of what they heard about the game before.
Right. Right.
Meanwhile,
was it because of Angel Reese?
No, Angel Reese's game only got 3.4 million, 2.1 million fewer viewers than Caitlin Clark's Final Four game. And then in the finals, 9.9 million tuned in to see Caitlin Clark. At this time, nobody even knew outside of LSU fans who Angel Reese was. Right. In fact, even ESPN, because I was watching ESPN some back then when Caitlin Clark went on this rampage, didn't mention Angel Reese once. So I didn't know she was when I went to watch the final game. I guarantee you nobody else outside of LSU and Angel Reese fans knew who she was either.
Exactly.
The 9.9 million was mostly because of Caitlin Clark. Okay, so this is completely wrong. Yeah. And then the following year, Caitlin Clark, in every round she played, which was 6 in a row, she set a viewership record for every round of the NCAA tournament. The round of 64, the round of 32, the round of 16, the quarterfinals, the Final Four, and the finals. She set a record every time, and she only played against Angel Reese once.
Right.
Okay, so in the Elite Eight game, when she played against Angel Reese, it was 12.3 million. Angel Reese lost. Her team lost against Caitlin Clark's team. The next two rounds, without Angel Reese, right, Caitlin Clark got 14.4 million against UConn, and then 18.9 million against South Carolina, which beat the men that year. Right. Without Angel Reese. Again, I just want to point that out.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it's and so I mean, that's what I mean. It's incredible how you cannot mention, but like I said in my previous peanut butter jelly. That's what they have to
put them together. They don't go that well, Rob. So then the article said that the growth of the sport was because of racism. Okay, so I don't have the article in front of me. I don't know if they elaborated, but I guarantee you they weren't going to say the racism of Angel Reese's fans after she did the "Now You See Me" thing. Because I maintain part of the reason Angel Reese's popularity soared was because some black people were happy that she beat Caitlin Clark's team and that she put the thing in her face to shut her up. You know, and they call it trash talking, which it wasn't. It was gloating because the game was over at that point.
And she walked over to her, like we mentioned before, if it was me and the player did that to me, walked up behind me, started doing that, he would have ended up on the ground, especially after I lost, because I'd be so pissed.
I don't know what racism they were talking about, but they're talking about Caitlin Clark fans probably because that's the accusation where there's these Caitlin Clark fans making racist comments to Angel Reese and Alyssa Thomas and supposedly to Brittany Griner or whatever. But there's, of course, there's no mention of the Angel Reese fans saying racist comments to Caitlin Clark.
That never happened, Mark. That never happened. There is no racism. There is no black racism. What are you talking about? Blacks can't be racist.
They can't?
No, we cannot.
I didn't know that. Well, you didn't tell me that, Rob.
I know. I know. It took me this long to tell you. After how many videos? What, over 200 videos? I finally told you.
Right. So, anyways, people said they called Clark by her last name when they talked about the minimizing the flagrant fouls, but I think they had mentioned her earlier having to do with the viewership, and that person didn't know that. So I want to make that pretty clear. So that's probably why they didn't say Caitlin in that time. So that was it. And so people jumped all over that, Rob. And one person said, Wall Street Journal is very woke and idiotic publication. They'd never write something positive about a white basketball player growing the game. Unfortunately, they are that racist. Now, what's interesting, the Wall Street Journal has always been known as a conservative publication.
Right. Yes.
And Caitlin Clark fans are accused of being conservative, which they're not. They're every type of political spectrum.
Yeah.
But that is interesting because USA Today is supposedly is overly woke and stuff like that. But Wall Street Journal doesn't have that reputation. So I don't know where this article came from.
Yeah, that's why when you mentioned it to me, Wall Street Journal, I'm like, what? They're like definitely conservative. I remember having to read that we used to have to read that sometimes for our business class. It was always a Wall Street Journal.
Someone else said, I'm not surprised she's been treated that way all year. Like, she's not the reason for the surge. She's the reason I'm watching. Honestly, this is the best advertisement for CC's impact. Just knowing someone at the Wall Street Journal is so mad she exists, they would write this way is really satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's so weird. It's like we talk about the negative, but they try to degrade someone. But on the other hand, it also actually attracts people like, what are you talking about? When you put this stuff out, it's like, that's not even true. I'm definitely going to watch her now.
Well,
does this the opposite?
They should just put another headline in here that says, listen, we're tired of Caitlin Clark getting credit for the growth of the WNBA. Here's some credits to some black women. That's what the headline here should be, because that's really what they did.
Yeah, or we agree with all the other sports media networks on the evaluation of Caitlin Clark and how unimportant she is to the WNBA.
I mean, and I don't know why they put the headline they did, other than to draw viewers. They should have just said, hey, it wasn't just about one person. Fine. That would have been a different headline. But even then, in the article, they should at least give Clark some credit for what she contributed and say, yes, yeah, but, and other people did this. They didn't even do that, Rob.
Yeah. Well, they're afraid. Again, Mark, they're afraid. They're afraid to mention that because they can't do that because they're in that group.
I'm surprised by the Wall Street Journal. I thought this would be something from like Lindsay Schnell from USA Today, who started pushing Caitlin Clark out the door as soon as she became popular and started saying black women have to be the face of the league or the face of women's college basketball. Right. This was a different writer. So it was a white writer too, a white author. Uh-huh. And so she must be friends with Lindsay Schnell, I guess.
I guess they must be buddies.
But this article is, it's unbelievable. It's almost
unbelievable.
I would say it's almost shocking, but this has been the whole year where they've tried to minimize Caitlin Clark's influence on the league. Charter flights. It was just, they've been working on this all along. They've been growing the league. This is going to happen
even now, Mark, in the playoffs, when she's not in the playoffs, but they're toting, hey, we have more viewership. Look, we're having outstanding viewership during the playoffs and in the finals.
Do. And even the finals games have not matched Caitlin Clark's initial first game, which was against the NFL.
Right. So they
still haven't matched that yet.
They're pushing it so hard. I just saw I'm like, and WNBA playoffs set another record. I go, how much is it? I go, that's not even close. What is that?
Someone said it's another white woman problem because Sabrina Ionescu made this iconic shot at the end of the game. And it was a
Oh,
logo
right.
3, like that. So someone said, "Oh no, that's not good."
Oh,
They're going to
yeah.
be upset
Oh,
that a
my
white
gosh.
woman made a shot that's going to go down. It's famous because there's almost no famous shots in WNBA history because nobody was paying attention. So now that
Right.
someone's finally paying attention, a white woman hits a big shot, and they go, "Oh no."
Can't have that.
To be fair, Nafisa Kyler did hit a big shot in Game 1, a turnaround.
Yeah.
All right, but it wasn't as iconic as the logo 3 that Sabrina Ionescu just hit.
The hits just keep on coming.
Is this you consider this a hit, like a hit to Caitlin Clark's face, or just like an insult? It's funny thing, Caitlin Clark just takes the high road on all this, and she doesn't care how much credit she gets. In fact, she wants other people to get credit too. So I don't know what to say, except for the fact that they should have taken a different headline and also had they should have had a more balanced article regardless of the headline. This is just what I can't stand is journalism that's not objective. That's just bad journalism. This wasn't like an opinion piece in like the political section. This was an information piece. So it should be objective.
Right.
And it wasn't, and it was misleading, and it was basically false. It was
right.
basically misinformation.
It made you bring out the magnifying glass, like going, where is the thing about Caitlin Clark helping? I don't see anything.
Caitlin Clark entered the league. I didn't know that before I wrote the article.
Right. Following the script there, Mark. Following the script.
Oh, it's fun. Actually, it's funny. It's so sad. It's funny. But let us know what you think down below.
Let us know what you think.
I'm dying to hear what other people think. I
have to know. I want to know.
Seriously, but I had to do it. I had to do a video.
We have to know. You got to let us know.
If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so. Hit the notification bell when you do, so you get notified of our next videos, and join us for our live show. It's every Monday except for major holidays, 6 to 8 Eastern time. And if you like this video, hit the like button. If you want to donate to this channel, there's super chats and super things down below. And there's a link to PayPal. And we'll see you in the next video.
Peace out.